Yeah, they want to make sure, because it is part of what you were talking about earlier. It's about in a way, it's about the relevance of monarchy. I mean, this looks like a walkabout, but it's also a contribution to not just the popularity of monarchy. That sounds like a sort of slightly facile transactional thing. It's how do monarchies stay relevant? How do ancient monarchies, here we are outside Windsor Castle, you don't get much more ancient. How does an ancient system stay relevant in the modern world? And part of it is by having a relationship with the people who you're reigning over.
Absolutely, and we've had centuries of that. I mean, you go back to Elizabeth I in the 16th century, and so many of her appearances look incredibly stage managed. But actually, the people who were recording it loved it. So, you know, when she entered the City of London for the first time, she waved at the crowds and she answered the crowds that called out to her. You know, if they said, "God save your Majesty," she would say, "God save you too." And for example, we have an example of a speech where outside the Tower of London she made, where she spoke about being a lion cub or being a lioness, and at that moment the lions in the tower roared, and of course it's stage managed and someone was clearly, you know, doing something to make the lions roar. But it's that kind of theatre that goes with monarchy, and we've got centuries of it. But if nobody sees it happen, or if not many people see it happen, then it's almost as good as not happening at all as far as the monarchy is concerned.
We have been getting these pictures, by the way. I'm going to be, full disclosure, I'm watching this on the iPhone of my producer and I'm getting it on a bit of a delay, so I am not seeing in real time what the audience is seeing. But we were getting pictures of William and Kate, and talk a little bit about their ability to do that.
So,
one second, Elizabeth. We're going to hand back to the studio. We're going to hand back to the studio to Lakshmi in the studio in London, because she's got much better view of the pictures than I have.
Catty, thank you. So as you heard my colleague Catty there saying, this is images you're seeing of Princess Catherine and Prince William doing a walkabout there at the moment. It looks like Princess Catherine is in conversation with one of the many people who've turned out. As you can see, huge crowds there, and as is often the case in at royal events like this, or many events similar, a lot of people viewing the images through the lens of their phone. Loads of phones being held up to capture the moment there, and people would have been queuing up for quite a while. And of course, the difference in the weather is pretty extreme. If you remember the downpours of yesterday, and yet, you know, people were turning out in huge numbers to catch a glimpse and along the route of the coronation. But today, a very different picture, lots of sunshine, and along with that glorious weather, huge crowds turning out here at Windsor for the walkabout. So this is the Long Walk in Windsor, where Prince and Princess of Wales, William and Catherine, are walking along. An area has been set up along the route there for people to turn out for the big lunch event. Now, if you've been watching us throughout the day, you'll know that this is a big event that's to bring people together across the country who are to be joining in with this idea wherever they are. And this is something that people in Windsor are doing as well. So it's the route near Windsor Castle that has been set up for people with picnic blankets ready to be involved in the big lunch event. And of course, at the moment, as you can see, not many people stopping for picnics when you've got the Prince and Princess of Wales turning up to shake hands and to see them there. And it was actually something that people weren't necessarily aware of before, so it's just a nice surprise for people who've been lining up there to see William and Kate. There we go, you can see the back of her there, and people towering over with phones being held. And we don't know how long they'll be hovering around, how long this walk about is scheduled for, but as you can see by the number of people wanting to stop and take pictures and say hello, it may well be that they'll end up being held there for a while by fans who are cheering them on and really happy to see them. And of course, they're not the only royals doing a walkabout today. There are others elsewhere in the country, but this one here, as you can see, William and Kate doing a walkabout there. And just to tell you a little bit more about the reason that a lot of people were there anyway, we've got a concert, the Coronation concert, that's planned later this evening, and it won't be long before the people start turning up for that. As you can see, many of these people may well have turned up for that already, as the doors open within an hour, even though the concert isn't until much later tonight.